Good afternoon everybody, my name is Shankarji. Today we will be doing chapter 5, Separation of Substances. First of all, why do we need, what is the need for separation? Because we cannot use substances directly. Maybe some substances we can use directly. However, most of substances, they need to be separated as per the requirement. So, therefore, there is an immense need for separation of substances. Like say for example, a very simple thing. Suppose you take you take some water in a container and put some sugar. You just mix it well. You can drink the sugar solution. That's fine. But suppose if you want to separate the sugar outside, if you have sugar solution and you want to separate the sugar, then what will you do? How will you separate it? You cannot separate just like that. So we need certain methods, standard methods for separation of substances. So therefore, we are going to study separation of substances in detail in this chapter. So now, the basic methods of separation are very simple. Hand picking, it starts with hand picking. I'm just naming it first. Hand picking, threshing, winnowing, sieving, sedimentation, decantation and filtration, evaporation, condensation. So we have 7 methods of separation which are mainly used. So now we will start with hand picking. Like the name itself suggests, what do you mean by hand picking? Like you are picking something with your hands. So say for example, you have a mixture, you have some like say you have a bundle of wheat grains which you have to separate. You just want the proper wheat grains. You don't want the dust or the small stones or maybe a sand particles along with it. You just need the whole grain wheat, which can be further used for food processing. So how will you separate it? So we normally what do we do is the laborers, what they do is they spread the wheat, the whole grain wheat into some large sheets, and then they a lot of workers pick the impurities with their hands. That's why it's known as hand picking. So when you are separating slightly larger size impurities like dirt, stone, husk from wheat, it can also be for removing impurities from rice or pulses, that dal, moong dal, chana dal, also known as the Bengal grams, etc. So it is known as hand picking. Very simple, you are picking the impurities and you are separating the good substance with the apart from the impurities. That's why it's known as hand picking. Next comes threshing. So let me summarize. Hand picking is the process of separating impurities from the pure substance by picking the impurities with our hands, with the hand. Okay. Now we come to the second method of separation, which is called threshing. So the name itself suggests threshing. When you are thrashing something, that becomes threshing. So what exactly we are thrashing over here? So the process of separating grain, it can be any grain, it can be rice, wheat, even maize, from stalks by beating them. So what they are doing is they are just separating the grains from the husk, like they are separating the waste from the useful part. So that's why it's called threshing. Sometimes they do it manually, or you might have seen like even on the roadsides they keep a lot of material, rice material even on the roads, so that when cars and lorries and trucks go by, they separate it. Later on they take it home. So that's why it's known as threshing. So threshing is you are separating grain from the stalks of the grain by beating them. Just a simple beating, you can separate them. It's a very cost-effective method of separation. That's why it's called threshing. However, even machines are also available for doing it. However, machines will be a little bit more costly. So that's why even now, mostly in India, in other developing countries, threshing is still manually done by hand. However, in advanced countries, we also have something known as a thresher. It's known as the harvester combine. So the combined harvester along with the thresher, they thresh it using machine. So it can be done both manually and automatically. Speaking of this, we have heard about two kinds of agriculture: extensive agriculture, also known as extensive farming, and intensive agriculture, also known as intensive farming. So normally threshing is done using intensive farming, where more manpower is used for farming, and in extensive farming more machines are used. So threshing is normally done manually in India. However, machines can also be used. Maybe rich farmers can use machines. Poor farmers, they still thresh using manually, with their hands. They do manual threshing. Then we come to the third method of separation, which is known as winnowing. Winnowing. So it is a method used to separate heavier and lighter components of a mixture by wind or blowing air. Like say for example, you would have seen farmers, they take the sieve and they put some wheat or some grain, and they keep like this and they shake it in the air like this, like this. So so what happens when the wind blows? The impurities just flow away with the wind, and the good part remains in the sieve, and then they put it back inside the barrels and they collect it. So that's why it's known as winnowing. Then we come to sieving. Sieving means filtering. You're filtering something by using a sieve, like a hole or a small filter, like we filter the tea. So when you're filtering something, that is known as sieve, using a sieve. So synonym for sieve is filter. So sieving is filtering, and the sieves are in just about the right size, so that they let the good stuff, the edible part of the grain to pass through it, whereas the impurities get stuck and they are later on removed. So that's how the sieve is very, very useful. So that's why it's known as sieving, also known as large scale filtering. So sieving. So this is a very useful and very convenient method of separating substances. Now, apart from this, now we come to the fifth method known as sedimentation. You can also combine with decantation and filtration, because all three are quite related to each other. Sedimentation is when heavier component settles after water is added. Like say for example, you take a combination of mud and water. Like you have a container which has some mud and water. Right now when you mix them, the mud and water, they are looking very like they are together. But if you just leave it without disturbing it for some time, maybe after 30 minutes or maybe 1 hour, maybe after a few hours, the water will remain on top, whereas the mud will settle down at the bottom. So like the name itself suggests, sedimentation. When the sediments of the mud, or it can be not only mud, it can be any substance, it can be an edible, eatable substance, it can be a non-eatable or non-edible substance. The point is, when heavier component settles after water, it can also be any other liquid apart from water as well, is added, and when the heavier component settles down and when the lighter component stays above the liquid part, that is known as sedimentation. Now what do? You take that container and you pour it out. When you pour the liquid out, that is known as decantation. You are decanting it. So when the water along with the dust is removed, that is known as decantation. So you're just left with the good part, and then impurities are removed. So that's why it's known as decantation. Then when a small size filter, because like I mentioned earlier, the sieve is a large size filter. When a normal size or a small size filter is used to remove the impurities, when you pour the water along with the impurities, the pure substance goes down, and the impurities, the water flows comes down, the liquid part, and the impurities remain in the filter. So that's why it's known as filtration. So when a filter is used for separation, it is known as filtration. Now we come to evaporation. Okay, now you would have heard a lot of salt, like Tata Salt, a lot of wonderful salt companies are there. How do these salt companies make huge amount of salt and process it? They use evaporation. Like say for example, you have a lot of seaports like Tuticorin, Cochin, Calcutta, Chennai, Mumbai, not only India, worldwide. What they do is they have, like say for example, they dig a lot of salt pits. They are slightly deeper, maybe 5 to 10 feet down, it depends. What they do is they just collect the seawater. I mean the seawater are collected into these various salt pits, and they are just left without disturbing for a few days. What happens? With the help of sunlight, all the liquid sea water is evaporated and the salt remains. So that's why they are using simple evaporation, and that salt is a common salt which we use every day. However, it's a raw common salt. They are collected using various dumper trucks. So apart from that, they add essential minerals like iodine and various other essential minerals which our body requires. So therefore, this common salt, how they are separated? By a simple process called evaporation. Very, very simple. Evaporation can be defined as conversion of water into water vapor or into its vapor is known as evaporation. And the opposite is condensation. When water vapor is converted back into water, that is known as condensation. Like say for example, you take sugar or salt solution and you keep it in a place, or if you want to make the evaporation faster, you heat it there. So what happens? The liquid part evaporates and the solid sugar or salt remains. Like say for example, you have ice cube. Ice cube is a solid state. If you let it melt, it becomes liquid. So this is also a type of condensation. So these are some basic methods of separation of substances. One more topic which we have to cover is saturated and unsaturated solutions. Okay, what do you mean by saturated and unsaturated solutions? Say for example, you have a container with water or any liquid. Can you keep on adding salt, or can you keep on adding sugar endlessly? No, because there is a certain limit beyond which the solution will not accept any more solid particles. So those solutions are known as saturated solutions. So saturated solutions are those solutions which are completely filled with solute and solvent. What do you mean by a solution? A solution is a combination of solute and solvent. What do you mean by solute? Solute is the solid particles, like it can be a sugar or it can be a salt. The solid minute particles which we add to the liquid part. The liquid part is known as solvent. So a solution is defined as a combination of solute plus solvent. So when no more solute can be added to the solvent, those solutions are known as saturated solutions. Those solutions in which further solute can be added, they are known as unsaturated solutions. So how will you define saturated solutions and unsaturated solutions? A saturated solution is a solution which cannot take any more further solute. An unsaturated solution is a solution which can take further solute till it reaches its saturation point. Saturation point is the limit beyond which it cannot take further solute. So this is how you define saturated and unsaturated solutions. However, these are just basic methods of separation. Advanced methods we will be studying in higher classes. So let me recap the basic methods of separation. Number 1, hand picking. 2, threshing. 3, winnowing. 4, sieving. 5, sedimentation, decantation and filtration. 6, evaporation. 7, condensation. So guys, this is about separation of substances, chapter 5. If you have any doubts, please let us know. We'll be glad to help you out. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.